NFL fans, welcome back to the J All Day Sports Show. It's Sunday, guys, our last Sunday before the NFL season starts on Thursday with the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. In today's episode, what I'm going to do for you is look at all these games and go over who I think is going to win via the spread. Whether it's the underdogs or the favorites, I'm going to break down the best spread bets for you guys for week one. Make sure you stick around. Let's get into it. NFL fans, we are only a few days until kickoff. Ravens at the Chiefs. The spread is at 3 points, and I'm taking the Chiefs and the 3 points. I just think this offense is going to be humming, man. We got Pacheco, Patty Mahomes, obviously, Kelsey, Rashee Rice. I think Xavier Worthy is going to be a huge addition. There are some injuries to the offensive line that I'm a little bit concerned about, but you know Andy Reid's going to scheme up to get the ball out quickly. I think this game is going to be very similar to the playoff game last year. 17-10 they won. I think it could be a 20-13, 17-10 again, 24-14, something like that, right? So I'm definitely taking the Chiefs and the 3 points. The Ravens have a new defensive coordinator. They have a lot of moving pieces on defense. They lost Patrick Queen. So I'm just like, I'm not really sure if the Ravens are going to cover the 3 points. I like Derrick Henry. That addition is going to be great for them. The interior offensive line is a little bit of a concern for me. And they also are very thin at the wide receiver position, right? Mark Andrews, the tight end's coming off an injury, right? He's been banged up all preseason. So I'm going with the Chiefs and the minus 3 points. All right, let's move on to the Green Bay Packers against the Philadelphia Eagles. There's no home field advantage in this game, guys. They're playing in Brazil. Honestly, I would avoid betting on this game altogether, right? They're playing in Brazil. What is the field going to be like? I have no idea. I don't think anybody really knows. I don't even think the players know, right? So I would avoid this game. They obviously don't have a lot of American football down in Brazil, right? The Packers are getting 2.5 points. If I had to make a bet, Eagles 2.5 or the Packers getting 2.5, I'm going with the Packers. I'm an Eagles fan, but this Packers team is very, very good. They drafted really well. They got a great room of young wide receivers. Jordan Love is going to take that next step this year. They're a very good team. They brought in Javon Bullard in the draft, Edgerrin Cooper in the draft. They brought in Xavier McKinney from the Giants at the safety position. They're a very, very good team. I think it's silly to go with the Eagles in minus 2.5. If I have to, I'm going with the Packers plus 2.5. All right, then we have the Patriots at the Bengals. This game was up to plus 9.5 at one point. It's down to minus 8.5 for the Bengals, right? Can the Bengals get over the 8.5 points? I think they can, right? I just find it hard to believe. Jacoby Brissett got hurt in the last preseason game. He has no one to throw the ball to. Ramondre Stevenson is like their best offensive weapon, and he probably doesn't start for probably over half of the NFL. So their defense is okay to, a little bit above okay, but the Bengals are going to figure them out, and I think the Patriots are going to be a ton of 3-and-outs. That means this defense is going to play so many snaps. The time of possession is going to be huge in the favor of the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins figure it out. Hopefully Jamar Chase plays and they figure out this contract situation. If he doesn't play in this game, I'm not taking the Bengals in the minus 8.5. But if he does play, the Bengals and minus 8.5 is in play for me. Cardinals at the Buffalo Bills. This line was all the way up to plus 7.5 for the Cardinals. I think I saw it at plus 5.5. Now it's back up to plus 6. So it's been all over the place. Money's coming in on both sides of this game. But the more I watch tape on the Cardinals, that defense is going to give up a lot of points this year. And I expect Josh Allen and Khalil Shakir, James Cook and company, and those two really good tight ends to just figure it out. Their pass rush is terrible. They have a lot of injuries on the D-line. If you give Josh Allen time, guys, you're going to pay for it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I could see a potential over in this game. That could be a bet if you guys are interested in a bet like that. But I like the Buffalo Bills to cover the 6 points. I'm hoping it goes back to minus 5.5 because that's where you want to go so they could still win by 6 and then you get the money instead of a push, right? But right now, I still think the bet on this game is to take the Buffalo Bills at -6. The Cardinals offense has improved a lot. They have a young offensive line. Trey McBride is a really good tight end. You got to love Marvin Harrison Jr. James Conner had a really great year last year running the ball, but I think the Buffalo Bills are still able to get it done. Houston Texans at Indianapolis Colts. If you've been following my videos, you got in on this game at -1.5 for the Texans. I still think they cover the -2.5, but the bet was -1.5 a few weeks ago, and I was like, guys, this is a great bet. So if you like getting early movement on these lines and get the bets in early so you can get better prices on the price action movement, you got to subscribe to the channel, right? I love the Houston Texans. That offense is incredible. Bringing in Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs is really going to give that offense another element. And then you got Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz. I mean, a very, very formidable offense. I like the Colts, actually. I think they bringing in Latu in the draft. Excellent player. They got Adonai Mitchell, a very unheralded guy. Kind of went later in the draft than I expected, but he looked really good in the preseason. Shane Steichen is like a quarterback whisperer, the head coach for the Colts. He's going to do great things with Anthony Richardson, but I think that's going to take a little bit of time. Anthony Richardson hasn't played football in a really long time. Coming off that injury, I'm going with the Texans to cover the -2.5 points. The Jaguars-Dolphins game, this is one of the hardest games to kind of get a gauge on, in my opinion. +3.5 for the Jaguars doesn't seem like a bad bet, but then you're like, am I really going to bet against this high-powered Dolphins offense with those unbelievable running backs and Waddle and Tyreek Hill? The offensive line might struggle a little bit, especially because the Jaguars have a great defensive line, guys. But their cornerbacks are not very good, in my opinion. I love Evan Ingram, the tight end for the Jaguars. The wide receiver room is okay, so this is hard. I'm not betting this game at all whatsoever. I'm staying away from this game, guys. Staying away, but if I had to, I think the Dolphins cover the 3.5, but I don't love it. I don't love it, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I love that offense is so high powered. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence, who got paid all that money for mediocre results, guys. I mean, I don't know if I could have paid Trevor Lawrence all that money for that production. That's just my opinion about that situation. All right, let's move on to the Titans and the Chicago Bears. Another game that's tough, right? You got a rookie quarterback, the number one guy in the draft. And if you look at that last preseason game, I think it was the second one that he played in, because I don't think he played in the third one. The first 4 drives, he looked terrible. He looked lost. He was off time. He was throwing balls, sailing balls, did not look good at all. And then towards halftime, he started to make some adjustments, and he was a lot better, dropping dimes to Rome Odunze. He looked really good. It was a tale of 2 quarters, really, kind of a Jekyll and Hyde performance from Caleb Williams. But he's got the weapons, man. DeAndre Swift, I think he's going to be very busy in this game. If you're a daily fantasy guy, I think DeAndre Swift, they're paid him a lot of money, so they're going to use him. He's not going to be in a timeshare, I don't think, early on in the season especially. But I think the Titans can cover the +4, man. Barely. I think the Bears win by a field goal. So you got to go with the +4 points with the Titans, right? Brian Callahan's going to spread that offense out. He's coming over from the Bengals, right? They have a pretty good wide receiver room too. DeAndre Hopkins, who should be healthy. Obviously, some of these picks could change if guys do not suit up, right? So we might have to make some adjustments later in the week. On Friday, I'll put out more content with injury updates. But as of now, Hopkins looks like he's going to play. Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd. I like Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. And I think Brian Callahan's dad, Bill Callahan, coming over from the Cleveland Browns, one of the best offensive line coaches in the game, is really going to get these guys performing at a high level. It might take a little bit of time. That's why I think the Bears win outright. I just don't think they cover the +4 points. I'm going with the Titans and +4. I'm hoping this line creeps up to around 5. Then I'm definitely sold on the 5 points. All right, guys. Vikings at the Giants. I'm going with the Vikings and -1 all day long. As long as they win, you can't lose money. Even if they win by 1, you get a push. I just think they're a better overall team, right? They got a better defense. They got a better offense. They got better weapons on offense. They got, maybe probably a wash at the quarterback position between Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. But you don't ever know who the hell is going to show up. What Daniel Jones? Is it going to be the guy who threw a pick 6 from his own end zone in the preseason? Daniel Jones, you've been in the NFL for like 7 years. What the hell are you doing, man? He looked like an abomination. The fact that they're paying him like $40 million a year blows my mind. But Malik Nabers is the truth, guys. But is Daniel Jones going to have enough time to throw the ball? They brought in Devin Singletary from the Texans too, so the offense is a little bit better. They made some additions to the offensive line to help protect Daniel Jones, but I don't trust Daniel Jones' decision making. I think he's going to throw some picks. Could be some, pick sixes. He gets strip sacked a lot too. He's not great at like evading pressure in the pocket, right? But this is a game I'm not jumping at betting either because I don't know what Sam Darnold's going to show up. And is Jordan Addison healthy? He's dealing with that high ankle sprain, so that's something of a concern, right? But they added some guys on the D-line that are really going to help this team. The Vikings did. So I think the Vikings defense is going to be pretty good. The Giants, they added Brian Burns to Dexter Lawrence on that D-line. So they're going to crush some guys in some games, right? Is it going to be this early against the Vikings offensive line? I'm not particularly sure on that. But I wouldn't be betting my money on that, right? Darnold's probably going to get the ball out fast. Justin Jefferson is great in space, and he can get a lot of separation quick and routes, right? Because they don't want to get burned deep. So they might be playing off him a little bit. So that's going to open up some quick slants in this game. I would look for those quick slants all day long if I am the Vikings offensive coordinator and head coach. So I'm going to take the Vikings and the -1. All right, let's go on to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons, guys. Oh, man. The Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with some injuries on the offensive line. Their rookie that they drafted is hurt. Isaac Seumalo did something to his pec. We don't know if he's going to play. And when you're an offensive lineman, man, everything's inside. And you're using your pecs on every single play. So if he's got like a tear in one of those pecs, man, he might miss some serious time. And Russell Wilson, I'm just not sold on him, guys. I'm just not. Him and Justin Fields both just hold onto the ball so long. Way too long, in my opinion. This Falcons offensive line is very good. Bijan Robinson, expect him to have a big day. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a big day too. Drake London. I think Kirk Cousins he was on his way to winning the MVP last year before he got hurt. He works harder than pretty much everyone in the NFL, man. If you follow any of his content, he's always trying to get his mind and body right with all of the latest technology. He's a workhorse, man. And I'll take him over Russell Wilson all day long. I'm going with the Falcons to cover the 3 points, though it's going to be close. It might be a 4 or 5 point game, but I think they just edge it out. It might even be a push. Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. I've been going back and forth on this game. I think it's going to take some time for the Carolina Panthers to gel. So this might be a time, especially in Survivor, to target the Panthers, because I think as the season goes along, they're going to play a lot better, especially when Jonathan Brooks comes back off the PUP list from that injury. I think it's going to take a little while for Bryce Young to build up a rapport with Xavier Legette, who I think is going to be a beast. He's got a similar body type to DK Metcalf. He's going to be really good. They brought in Robert Hunt, the offensive lineman from the Miami Dolphins, to really shore up the interior parts of that offensive line. But I don't really believe, and I think it's Chuba Hubbard who's going to be the starting running back there with Miles Sanders, who was horrendous. He averaged like 3.2 yards a carry last year. The Saints defense is pretty good, especially at home. I'm not a big Derek Carr believer, guys, but I think they do just enough. Kamara Olave, just enough to cover the 4 points. Barely. They might not even cover it. I'm not jumping the bet at this game at all whatsoever. Denver Broncos at the Seattle Seahawks. Rookie Bo Nix, first rounder, will be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. On the road, this line has actually pushed up. It was at I think it was +5, and then +5.5, now all the way up to +6. So once again, guys, you got to subscribe to the channel, because when this line was at +5, I was like, yo, the Seattle Seahawks at -5 all day long. It's pushed up to 6. You might even see 6.5 or 7 by the time the game starts. Seattle is really hard to play at home. McDonald's coming over from the Ravens to turn that defense into a top unit in the NFL. He's going to turn that Seattle Seahawks defense around again. They're going to be a top 10 unit this year. Mark my words. You heard it here first, guys. And the offense is second to none. The offensive line is still cheeks. Super cheeks. But Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker III, great skill position guys. I think the Seattle Seahawks cover the 6 points, but if it pushes up anymore, I'm staying away from this game. I think the Seahawks can cover. The Broncos defense is just okay. Bo Nix is probably going to struggle a little bit. It's going to be super loud in Seattle. But I do like Bo Nix. I think he's going to be just fine. And I think this game might be a little closer than people think. Oh, now that I say that, I'm like, can the Broncos cover the 6 points? I don't know, man. I'm going back and forth. I don't know what to do. But if this goes up any more from 6 points, say the Broncos get 6.5 or 7, the Broncos are going to be the pick. I'm going to go with Seattle for now because I think playing there for Bo Nix is going to be extremely difficult. All right, Raiders at the Chargers. I'm taking the Raiders and the plus 3 points all day, every single day. Christian Wilkins is a huge addition to that defensive line. Pair him up with Max Crosby, OMG. They're going to wreak havoc on a mediocre offensive line from the Chargers. Who are they going to throw the ball to? Rookie Ladd McConkey in the slot. Their outside receivers are cheeks. The running back room is a bunch of bums coming over from the Ravens, Dobbins and Edwards, who are both washed. Harbaugh wants to run the ball. He doesn't have the guys to run the ball. I'm going with the Raiders in the 3 points. Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams. Gardner Minshew was a Pro Bowler last year. I like the Raiders in the 3 points. Cowboys at the Browns. Man, this line's at plus 2.5. If it gets to plus 3 or more, I'm going with the Cowboys. But at minus 2.5, the Browns could win by a field goal in this spot. I look for Denzel Ward to match up with CeeDee Lamb, and I can't see them beating this Browns defense, especially with that D-line of Myles Garrett, with Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks. I don't see it happening because the running back room is absolute trash. Like Oscar the Grouch trash. These guys are old. They're cooked. Like Jerry Jones talks all this crap, and then he's going to go into the season with Ezekiel Elliott. This isn't 10 years ago, guys. Jerry Jones is the worst GM in the National Football League, and it's not even close. I'm going with the Browns to cover the 2.5 points. Let's go. All right, Commanders at the Buccaneers. I've been going back and forth in this because I'm a huge Jaden Daniels fan, and now I'm starting to have those Jaden Daniel butterflies. I was thinking about this game earlier today, and I was like, is Jaden Daniels going to burn all of us? Is this a trap game? So I'm not betting this game at all whatsoever. I'm not betting it for my survivor pools. I'm not betting this game. Jaden Daniels scares me, man. Terry McLaurin could have a big day. I do like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense with Todd Bowles. They probably win this game. But Jaden Daniels is a dog, man, and he just knows how to win. Whew. I'm going with the Buccaneers to cover the -3, but I'm not happy about it. I'm not 100% sold on it. But the Commanders in +3, their defense is so cheeks, man. So it's like, that's the only reason why. I think this game will be a little bit closer than people think. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a playoff team from last year, is bringing back pretty much everyone on this team. I think it's like 10 out of 11 starters on offense are coming back. So I think that kind of consistency is going to bode well for them, especially early in the season. I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to cover the -3 points. Rams at the Lions. This line's ballooning up too, right? It was like 2, 2.5, 3. Now it's 3.5. We'll have to see and keep an eye on our injuries. But I think I'm going to go with the Rams in +3.5, guys. I love the Detroit Lions. I think this is the best team in the NFC this year. Sorry, 49ers fans. And if it wasn't for Dan Campbell being an absolute dipshit, they would have beat the 49ers. Take the points, Dan. All right. I'm going with the Rams to cover the +3.5. But I think this is a field goal game. And that field goal game for the Lions to win lets us cash at +3.5 for the Rams. But Puka Nacua is banged up. Stafford's dealing with a hamstring injury, so keep your eyes on the injury reports for these games. Jets, 49ers. This game was at +5.5 at one point, right? Once again, you got to subscribe to the channel, guys. We just crossed 7,000 subscribers. We added 250 subscribers today. I'm humbled. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the channel. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. And the more subscribers, the more viewers we get, the more NFL content I can bring you guys. I'm going to do bets. I'm going to talk about spread bets, over-under bets, money line bets, parlays, all that kind of stuff, man. We're going to do all of it on the channel. I'm going to give you guys survivor bets, regular picks. I'm going to do it all. Oh, man. Jets at 5.5 was a slam dunk, man. If you watched this channel earlier, I slam dunked that bet all day. Minus 3.5, I don't love it as much. I don't love it as much. But the Ayuk deal got done. I'm taking the 49ers to cover the 3.5 points. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers has enough weapons in offense. And if you remember, a lot of his Packers teams started off really slow the first 5 or 6 weeks, and then they turn it on and get hot. Because Rodgers figures out what his guys can and can't do. That's going to take some time. That's why I'm going with the 49ers to cover the minus 3.5 points. All right, NFL fans, that is a wrap on today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite spread bets for week 1? I would love to hear it. I would love to talk about bets with you guys. Who do you think is going to win these games? And what are some of your favorite spread picks for week 1? Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.